Time to talk cricket. Love the cricket. Australia tightened their grip on the World Test Championship final, stifling India on day 2 at the Oval in London. Here's Gerard Marcilli with a recap.
They can do it. They've done it in the past against the Australians. They've got Australia into similar kind of situations.
Australia picking up day 2 of the World Test Championship final on 327 for 3. With Travis Head and Steve Smith not out on 146 and 95 respectively. The day started with Smith reaching a milestone, his 31st century in less than 100 tests.
31st 100 to Steve Smith, 7 in England.
3 overs later, Head raised his bat for the 3rd time in the innings after bringing up 150. The pair put on a partnership of 285 before Mohammad Siraj got the breakthrough, removing the lefty for 163. Shardul Thakur removed Smith soon after, before Australia went to lunch on 422 for 7. Gloveman Alice Carey pushed on the scoring after the lunch break, contributing 48 runs before being plumb LBW by Ravi Jadeja. Siraj got the wicket of Aussie skipper Pat Cummins to end with 4 for 108 and dismiss Australia for 469 before tea. Captain Rohit Sharma and IPL standout Shubman Gill started the Indian reply. The Aussie bowlers were aggressive from the start, and it proved fruitful. Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins put India on the back foot early, and Scott Boland followed up when he was introduced. Cheteshwar Pujara was a clear target for Australia's fast bowling quartet, and they got him after 25 deliveries for 14. Starc returned to the attack with more hostility, being gifted Virat Kohli's wicket, tickling his edge en route to Carey. King Kohli also gone for 14. Indian fans would have been wishing for Stumps to be pulled after being in a spot of bother at 71 for 4. But Ravi Jadeja was sparking a comeback. The all-rounder counter-attacked with 8 boundaries, including 7 fours and this 6. But he would fall victim to Nathan Lyon, 2 runs short of a half-century, for the 3rd time in his last 4 matches against Australia. India would eventually end the day on 151 for 5, still 318 runs behind on first innings.
Yeah, well, after seeing that delivery that dismissed Ravindra Jadeja, the Indian selectors must be thinking, wow, we probably missed a trick with not selecting Ravi Ashwin for this World Test Championship final. Fazir Mohammed joins us on the show. Fazir, hope you're doing well. Your assessment of day 2 in London?
A bit of positive for India with the fact that they were able to pick up those last 7 wickets for 108 runs because Australia could have ballooned out towards 500 plus. But then the quality of the Australian bowling, and while I take your point about, again, they'll be lingering over that omission of Ravi Ashwin, it was the pace that did the job for Australia early on, with those early wickets, with the extra bounce, with the extra effort, getting the shoulder of Kohli's bat, for example. So again, yes, clearly spin is going to be more of a factor later on in the match. But you look at the way the Indians bowled in the morning session and the rewards that they got, and it suggested that with a bit more persistence, a bit more consistent accuracy, like what we saw from Scott Boland, they could have actually been more successful even with their pace attack on day 1.
Yeah, what did the Australian bowlers do so differently from what we saw of the Indian bowlers on day 1?
I suppose consistency would be the key point, and that's why I highlighted Scott Boland. And again, you have to acknowledge that there were serious errors of judgment. Pujara offering no shot being bowled, not just that being bowled off stump, it was almost off and middle that he was bowled. And then, again, another wicket going down, Shubman Gill going down, bowled offering no shot. But that dismissal effected by Scott Boland, the first wicket that he got, reflected the value of persistence. And I think that's why Test cricket is often described as such a difficult game, because it's simple in the sense that you know what you have to do, but it's difficult to implement it. Hitting at the same area, delivery after delivery. It can get quite boring, it can get quite tedious, it can get quite challenging for the bowler to maintain that. But you can see, certainly when it comes to Test cricket, the rewards of doing that. And I think that's where was Australia's strong point as far as their performance, that they were able to maintain that consistent line far more often than what we saw from the Aussies, from the Indians, sorry.
Yeah, after 2 days, this test match seems blown wide open by the Australian performance so far. How do you figure this one going with 3 days to go?
At this point, it looks as if Australia should be able to push through to get a significant lead. Whether they'll enforce the follow-on is another matter, because that is something that they haven't really done too often. It's another element of their game that they may want to look at differently depending on the state of the test match. But again, the thing is, Ricardo, it's test match cricket. It's a situation where you've got two teams for the Indians, and we've talked about it, a lot of them coming out of the IPL, not that they could use it as an excuse, as I've mentioned before. For the Australians, they have their eyes primarily on the Ashes series in just over a week's time, but they'd like to take home the World Test Championship. So again, morning session is always going to be critical. They're going to be pressing hard to get more wickets, to get into that low order, to have that huge lead, to build on that advantage. So just the relentlessness of the Australians, I expect them to push even closer to victory by the end of day 3.
All right, let's see how it goes. Fans, we'll chat again tomorrow after the 3rd day's play.
Take care.
All right, Fazir Mohammed, we take a break. Interactive to come on the show.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.